I'm anything but an Erik Karlsson basher. I'm anything but someone who routinely finds a single player to blame for a team outcome. Oh boy. Both of those are about to change. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Hurricanes 5, Penguins 1 last night in Raleigh, North Carolina. Extraordinarily misleading final score. And I'm not saying that in some kind of flattering way. I thought the Penguins played pretty well. I thought they controlled the play. They dominated the shots. They dominated possession, which they never do against this particular opponent. Maybe against this opponent more than any other. They're usually just doing a whole lot of puck watching while the Hurricanes are doing the dealing. That wasn't the case. That wasn't the case. What actually occurred in this one was that Karlsson was terrible on 2 early Carolina goals, and that altered the complexion of everything. And if this were an outlier, you could just say, whatever. But Karlsson's been this way pretty much the entire early portion of the season. He looks slow. He looks lax. He looks unfocused. And worst of all, he looks like he's not aware of any of this being a detriment to the cause. So he continues taking the same kinds of gambles that he would if he were still, Erik Karlsson and could do those kinds of things. So the Penguins own the first 20 minutes. They're all over the Canes, doing everything right, getting a bunch of traffic, bodies to the net, drawing penalties, outshooting the Canes 4-1 basically. And Karlsson just completely falls asleep, gets stuck in between on a neutral zone rush that the Hurricanes generated, can't come close to catching up. Bang, goal. A few minutes later, pretty much the same thing. A little bit of a different dynamic, but not by much. He loses his guy scores. And for what it's worth, early in the third period, he was on for Carolina's third goal as well. It wasn't really his fault, but then, he didn't prevent it either, and you're not seeing much of that from him. You're not seeing that, whoa, there was a defensive gem I didn't expect. So he's -3 while the Penguins are -3. And you see the score and you go, wow, the Penguins they're just getting clocked here by the Canes again. With no accounting for how the game might have gone if Karlsson hadn't basically handed the Canes a 2-goal lead. So what do you do about this? What do you do if you're Mike Sullivan, your highest paid player, a Norris Trophy winner just a year and a half ago, someone who for all his struggles right now is still going to somehow end up being 65, 75 points in the bank? What do you do with that? You scratch him? You send a message to a guy who's been around that long and achieved that much? And if you do send or try to send that message, is it going to be received? I mean, listen to this. This was Taylor Haas, our beat writer here at DK Pittsburgh Sports, asked Karlsson last night in Raleigh how he felt he played, not the team, how he felt he played in this game. This was his response.
Not bad. Unfortunate sometimes, and it's tough sometimes when your first shift they score on a play and it starts snowballing the other way, and it's just one of those days where you got to keep your head down and try and be in the right position at all times, and even if you're just a little off, like sometimes it doesn't go your way, and that's just one of those nights. I've had many of them, and I'm sure I've had some more, and I just got to figure out a way how to control it.
You're a longtime listener to this show. You know that I spend a lot of time with Karlsson. I talk to him a lot. As I said, I'm not a basher. I'm not about to become any kind of long-term basher. I have immense respect for what he's done in the National Hockey League. And I believe, and I really, really believe that he arrived in Pittsburgh with all the best intentions. But that answer, that's actually usually what you get from him. He's not trying to BS you. He's not trying to fool you. Chris Letang does a lot of this too. Some just aren't very comfortable talking about when things aren't going well for them individually. Now, in listening to all of Karlsson's answer, not just the part at the beginning where he says, strikingly, not bad about his play, you can hear clearly that he's aware it was bad and it did cost his team. But who sits down and has that conversation with him, and how does it go? You can point to Mike Sullivan. He's a pretty easy target these days. But when it comes to players at this level, in my experience of covering this franchise since 1997, they've had a lot of players at this level. It's usually best that the other players at that level are the ones who instigate talks like that. Sure, Sullivan's talked to Karlsson. I'm not suggesting that wouldn't be the case. But is there a difference between Sullivan doing it and, let's say, Letang or Sidney Crosby for that matter, or someone who really doesn't have any problem talking to anybody in any way, like a Lars Eller? I don't know, but it's got to be someone. And the first thing that's got to sink in, if it hasn't already, is that this isn't okay. The way he's playing isn't okay. I understand he missed training camp. I understand he missed the preseason. I understand he was just thrown out there on the rink against the Rangers after a single practice. Neither he nor the team has divulged why he missed all that time, but it was obviously an injury of some sort. That does have an effect, but we're now a dozen games in. And if it's not getting straightened out now, when will it get straightened out? Or is it something that can be done on the side? Not some AHL thing like Tristan Jarry, but something else where you say, we're just going to give him a weekend here to do this, to just skate, to get whatever his issue is out of his system. I don't know. Maybe that backfires. Maybe what he just needs are more games, but he's playing more games and he's doing more damage because he's playing like this. I'm sure you can understand why he is an exasperating central figure for a lot of people in this organization, all the way to the top. Trust me on that one. When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's J1Q comes from Josh, and it's way more of a rant than it is a Q. He says, DK, this team doesn't look good at all. We're just leaking goals all over. At one point, it was 4 goals given up to the Hurricanes on 14 shots. Penguins look like garbage. Erik Karlsson sucks. Ryan Graves is dog crap. What the heck is this team? I'm flying from Oregon to Pittsburgh on Tuesday to catch 3 Penguins games and then the Steelers-Ravens game. Right now, it's looking like a stress-filled vacation. I hope the Penguins can pull their heads out of you-know-where soon. Josh, first off, it's cool that you're coming here. I always find it admirable when anyone feels strongly enough about their sports teams to fly or to travel here in any form, let alone coming all the way across the country. That's pretty neat. And I do hope you stop and see us at our downtown headquarters. We're 224 Fifth Avenue. No, I'm not trying to sell you anything. Just come and say hello. Everyone who listens to any of these daily shots or any of our videos or reads our content, just walk in and say hi. As for the rest of your stuff, the team's given up goals. The team's given up a lot of bad odd man breaks, clean breakaways, and so forth. Karlsson's been bad, as you just heard me go through in the opening segment. Graves actually hasn't been bad at all. Like at all. You're stuck on something from last year and you need to let it go. He's made mistakes. I've called him out for that, but overall, he's actually been one of the team's few consistent performers on the back end. But, to what you say about getting their heads out of their where, Mike Sullivan had some strong words last night, at least about as strong as he gets, because he always likes to play the role of the proud Papa Bear of his clan, and he doesn't want to call any of them out by name, and he doesn't want to treat them like they're children. But when they play irresponsibly, when they play without going as hard as they possibly can, then he'll find a way to do it. And this specifically was what he said on that count to reporters last night in Raleigh.
I thought we had a lot of guys that played really hard and didn't get rewarded for their efforts. I think there were a few guys that didn't live up to the expectation. And it's hard. We need everybody to bring it every night to give ourselves the best chance to win.
Yeah, you got to understand that is from him to go public with that. That is a stinging rebuke. That is really dark coming from him, because what he'll usually do is he'll say, we didn't have it, or we were missing this, or we were missing that. And he'll mean everybody. Very plainly, that's not what he's doing here. He's trying to send the message, and it's not all that different than the one that I was just talking about, that for the most part, they had a lot of guys going. They were doing some really, really good things, but they had an individual or a couple individuals who unplugged the whole thing. So it'll be interesting to see what he does, I guess, to some extent. On the other hand, it isn't, because he never does things like this, at least not in a way that you or I can see it. And I'm somebody who's doing a lot of traveling with the team and being around the team in a lot of different situations. And I can usually get wind of when this or that happens as it relates to somebody, especially as it's rooted in discipline. And he does a tremendous job of keeping that all in-house. So what happens with him and Karlsson between the time you and I are talking right now and the time they drop the puck tonight in D.C., we're not going to find out, but he's not going to get scratched. He's not. And I don't have other solutions for this. I really don't. But yeah, it's Penguins versus Capitals tonight. It's a 7:38 p.m. face-off in Washington. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody who listens to Daily Shot of Penguins. We're going to be back with another one of these on Monday.